let the audience know who you are.
So I'm Max. Used to be on the Cupertino podcast, and Elijah's my RA.
Okay. And so with Vision Pro, ask me away all the questions that you have for me.
Okay, what do you use the Vision Pro the most for, like on a daily basis?
The most that I've used it for was definitely watching movies.
Okay.
I enjoy watching movies and TV shows on movies.
Okay, and what streaming services?
I have Apple TV Plus and I have Disney Plus.
Second question, what was your first impressions of it? I saw your video, but like maybe a few days after, like what were you like most, like you didn't expect?
It's kind of hard to explain because it took me a week to realize, or at least to like settle in that I have this product. Like it felt surreal to like just turn around or like just see it on my table. I'm like, oh, I have this expensive product that's on my table. But really, my first like initial process of having Vision Pro was definitely setting up like the hand tracking, the eye tracking, and notice how very sensitive it is to accidentally select something, or sometimes when it comes to eye tracking, like it's kind of hard to like, if there's like multiple things in one corner, sometimes it's a little hard to like see, like to have it choose that right one that you're looking for.
Right.
Or if like the button is really small too, from the apps, like it's kind of hard to like have your eye like get to the little shade that shows I'm selecting this, and then selecting it with your hand. So.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. How is the FaceTime on it?
FaceTime
Does it still look artificial, or is it somewhat realistic?
So at first it was very artificial, but it was better than like, you know, Meta Quest or like the options they have with just having an avatar. And for now that they released Vision OS 1, so like 1.1, the official 1.1, the persona has gotten a lot better. It looks more natural from the very first initial launch of it. And like I mentioned in my video, like it does take time for these things to like get better and better. So from 1.0 to 1.1, the personas look a lot better now.
Yeah. Now, have you FaceTimed anyone else with the Vision Pro, or has it just been like FaceTiming people who use their phones?
So I don't know anyone who has a Vision Pro that I FaceTime them with. So unfortunately, I can't like have that aspect. But I have I have FaceTime with like my parents, I have with my best friend, I have with other people that I know, and they've all kind of said, oh, it looks a little weird, oh, this looks like cool, but it still looks like weird at the same time.
Yeah. Do you do you have any difficulty with like the battery life? How is that?
I haven't had any difficulty with battery life, even though it is only 2 hours of battery life.
Okay.
And so most of the time I either already have it like plugged in, or it's charged by like when I charge it the night before if it needs to be charged. So I haven't had any issues with battery life. And then I feel like because of the weight of it, and sometimes I do get a little bored of it. Not because it's a bad thing, it's just there's not a lot of apps that will keep me like enticed to keep me going with it. And I'm sure over time people will develop more Apple Vision Pro specific apps for it. But yeah, I feel like 2 hours has been enough, and especially watching movies, I get 2.5 hours battery life now.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been able to, you know, get accomplished what I'm wanting to do.
Do you ever get motion sickness?
No motion sickness.
Not yet.
No headaches. If I do get a headache, it's because I'm just tired and I shouldn't be wearing it while I'm tired.
Yeah. Do you think, like, with that, do you think some people are more sensitive or more prone to getting headaches from wearing that extended periods of time?
Not that I know of. I know that I go on and off between each band that you have an option to. So when it comes to watching movies, I tend to wear the duo loop band, but if I'm watching like a 20-minute episode of a show, then I'll just wear the single loop and I would be fine.
Okay, and one thing I was asking, I think before this started, was the weight distribution. Because a lot of the reviews I've seen, it's like it's heavy in the front, light in the back, it's a little uncomfortable. I heard the headband or the strap over the top helps certain people with that. Has that helped you with that?
It definitely has. I noticed at first when I was just wearing the solo loop band, I couldn't get as used to the weight than I did with the duo loop. But now that I've worn this a little more often than, you know, putting on the duo loop first, then it was like, okay, I can manage the weight. Now, I feel like with the digital crown, not the digital crown, but the crown. I don't want to say digital. It's still a crown, but like the crown right here, I feel like we have to like tighten it to our face so it can stay secure.
Mm-hmm.
And I come to realize that we don't have to tighten it as tight for it to stay secure.
Okay.
But sometimes if we don't have it as tight as we would think, it may feel a little loose.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we can find that in between,
That middle
where it's
ground.
like it's still tight enough to fit on our face, but not as tight where we can feel the weight. I feel like that's what helped me wear it a little bit longer because it's still snug. As wide as this band is, like it does cover like the back end of my
Right.
head and neck.
Yeah.
So it does. I don't feel as much as the weight as I did before because I was like tightening up just enough where I felt the tightness, but over time I did feel the weight.
So you kind of have it to that right,
Mhm.
comfortable spot.
Yeah.
And I think that takes some adjusting at first too,
Mhm.
because everyone's obviously has a different head size.
Yeah.
Do you think in the next iteration of this, the price will be reduced substantially to make it more affordable?
The thing is, I don't know if Apple will make a light version of this. I don't know if Apple will make a second gen that's going to be more expensive. I feel like if they make the second gen, it's probably going to be the same price
Okay.
before they come up with a way to make it lighter and substantially kind of smaller in ways, so it's not as like a headset, but more towards, I guess, maybe the glasses that we've been hearing about. So if not less expensive, I think it'll probably still be the same price.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, like, I know there was some outrage at first about the price, but I think once people have it in their hands, at least out of what I've seen, like, people are really liking it.
Yeah.
I know it's similar to like the Meta Quest. I know we've had products on the market like this before, but this is just integrated in the Apple ecosystem. It's a little bit different than what else is on the market, and I think that's very valuable in itself.
Yeah, very much so.
So you like it. How's the integration with your other Apple devices?
So unfortunately, it doesn't have the Find My app on Vision Pro. So
Okay.
I found that out the hard
So
way.
there's no tracker on this?
So there is no tracker, but it's connected through iCloud, which says Find My, which is a little bit confusing. But it
Okay.
doesn't have like the Find My app integrated yet on Vision Pro.
Okay, so that's probably a future
Mm-hmm.
update. Yeah.
And then just the overall experience, I feel like it's worth the price, even though it is hefty. And that's what I like came to realize. Like, it's so hard because it's like, oh, this is like a $3,000, close to $4,000 product, however you spec it up. And to me, it's just like, how do you like justify that? And my thing is, it's just the experience. Like, it's what I call the long haul experience, and taking the time to sit down and think, okay, do I want to indulge in this? And then if you buy it and then you don't feel like you want to keep it after, before the 14 days of window to return, then you can just return and get your money back, which is awesome, where Apple gives you that 2-week lifespan.
That like almost that free trial.
Yeah.
See if you like it, and that's actually quite nice of Apple to do that.
Right.
Wonder if they had a lot of returns, maybe in the first 2
They
weeks of launch.
They did. I noticed the headlines of people returning Vision Pro, because I feel like that's what I was settling in at before the 14-day mark of my return, if I wanted to return it or not. And part of me was like, okay, the highness of like, oh my god, Vision Pro's in my living room was starting to die down, and like I was thinking, am I gonna use this more often?
Right.
Am I gonna be satisfied if I don't return this? I can't get that $4,000 back.
Right.
And
once that kind of honeymoon period ends, then you start to realize, okay, how useful is this device going to be in my everyday life? And for you, it seems like it's been quite useful, especially with entertainment.
Yes, entertainment, being able to even connect it to my Mac screen to get a bigger display has been so cool, where I can edit my videos and with no problem at all, really.
That's right. Yeah.
And the environments as well. I love the environments with Vision Pro.
The immersive, like you feel you're really there. Yeah.
And I found out what some of them, like if like in the Yosemite environment, like if you like talk or if you're just making random noises, like it actually echoes.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like I'm like making whistle noises in my living room, and I'm hearing like everything echo back, like on the mountainside. And seeing that just clear view, like if you like say something, like it will echo. It's really like you're in that environment.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
So those little Easter eggs are really cool, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that ends it with all my questions. But thank you for sharing all that.
Thank
I was
you.
very curious. I've never actually seen one, so
Mhm.
it's very interesting to learn about it. So
So yeah,
Thanks.
thank you, Maxwell. He's also subscribed to my YouTube channel.
I am.
Feel free to subscribe below if you want to see more content like this.